Introverts spend more time at home than almost anyone else, which means they have spent more time than anyone else solving the same problem. The apartments introverts designed for themselves look different. Here is exactly why, and what everyone can learn from them. The most immediately visible difference between an introvert-designed apartment and most other small apartments is the level of visual noise, the quantity of competing visual information that the eye encounters when it moves through the space. Most small apartments, however well-intentioned their design, contain more visual information than the brain needs to process them comfortably. Multiple patterns competing across different surfaces, objects on every available horizontal plane, art arranged in groups that require the eye to move across them rather than settle on them, lighting from several sources of different character and color temperature. The introvert apartment reduces visual noise not as an aesthetic choice, but as a functional one. Because for someone who already processes more sensory information than they need from the outside world, coming home to a space that demands continued processing is not rest. It is a different kind of work. Every surface cleared beyond what is genuinely necessary, every pattern reduced to one considered application, every object present because its absence would be felt rather than because it fills a visual gap. These are not minimalist principles. They are neurological ones. Introvert-designed spaces have a specific relationship with darkness that most interior design advice actively discourages, and that produces, in practice, the most genuinely restful rooms available in a small apartment. The advice is always to maximize light, to choose pale surfaces that reflect rather than absorb, to keep the space bright and open and visually expansive. This advice optimizes for one thing: the appearance of the space to someone seeing it for the first time. It does not optimize for how the space feels to someone living in it every day, returning to it when their nervous system needs recovery rather than stimulation. Darkness rests the eyes. Shadow creates depth that prevents a room from feeling flat and relentlessly present. A corner that is not fully lit is a corner where the brain does not need to go. And in a small apartment where every square meter is visible simultaneously, the presence of areas that recede rather than assert themselves creates a sense of spatial privacy that no amount of additional square footage can replicate. The introvert apartment has shadow by design, not by accident, because shadow is the visual equivalent of silence, and silence is what recovery requires. The way introverts layer sensory experience in their apartments is fundamentally different from how most people approach the same challenge. And the difference explains why introvert spaces feel restorative where others feel merely pleasant. Most apartment design layers sensory experience additively. More texture, more pattern, more scent, more sound, more visual interest, on the assumption that more is more engaging and more engaging is better. Introvert design layers sensorially in a completely different direction, toward depth rather than breadth, toward richness in fewer channels rather than stimulation across many. One textile that is deeply, specifically pleasurable to touch, a wool throw of a particular weight and weave that the hand returns to without thinking. One scent, consistent and low-key, that the brain learns to associate with safety and rest. One sound environment, the specific silence of a well-insulated room, or the single consistent sound of water or rain, that becomes the audio signature of home. Each sensory channel deepened and refined rather than multiplied, so that coming home is not an experience of more information, but of better information. The specific, known, deeply familiar qualities that signal to the nervous system that it is safe to rest. Every introvert apartment, regardless of its size, regardless of the constraints of its floor plan, contains one area that does nothing except allow the person who lives there to be completely alone with themselves. Not alone with a screen, not alone with work. Alone, in the specific, restorative sense of being in a space that makes no demand and offers no stimulation beyond the quality of the space itself. In a larger home, this might be a dedicated room. In a small apartment, it is a corner, a specific, considered arrangement of one chair, one lamp, and one surface for a book or a cup of tea, positioned in the part of the apartment that receives the quality of light the person loves best and is furthest from the door and from whatever lies beyond it. This corner is the most important square meter in the introvert apartment. It is where recovery happens, not through sleep, not through entertainment, not through any specific activity, but through the simple, neurologically necessary experience of being in a space that asks nothing and gives everything that quiet can give. The material choices in an introvert apartment follow a logic that is neurological before it is aesthetic, selecting surfaces and objects not for how they look in photographs, but for how they feel to a nervous system that has been overstimulated and needs to recover. Natural materials with soft, matte surfaces that absorb light rather than reflecting it, because reflective surfaces require the eye to process reflected information in addition to direct information, and in a room designed for rest, every unnecessary processing demand matters. Textiles of genuine weight and warmth, wool, linen, heavy cotton, that engage the sense of touch in a way that the brain finds grounding rather than alerting. Wood with visible grain that the hand reads as familiar and safe rather than as novel and stimulating. And the specific absence of anything synthetic that off-gasses, anything high-gloss that reflects movement, or anything that produces sound when the air moves through it. These are not design preferences. They are the material translation of one specific need: to be in a space where the nervous system can spend an hour without encountering a single thing that asks it to pay attention. The lighting in an introvert apartment is designed for 1 hour specifically, the hour of return. The moment of coming home after a day of external demands, sensory input, and social navigation, when the nervous system needs the environment to signal, immediately and unambiguously, that the demands are over. Bright overhead lighting cannot send this signal. It is associated, neurologically, with activity, performance, and the public world. The introvert apartment eliminates it entirely, replacing it with warm, low, directional sources that the brain reads not as the light of doing, but as the light of being. 2 lamps at human height. 1 candle. The specific warmth of a bulb at 2700 K or lower that shifts the room from the frequency of work to the frequency of rest in the time it takes to walk through the door. This lighting approach is not about creating a mood in the decorative sense. It is about giving the nervous system the one signal it needs most at the end of the day, that it has arrived somewhere safe, somewhere quiet, somewhere that will not ask anything more of it tonight. The one design element that separates genuinely quiet small apartments from apartments that are merely visually calm is sound absorption. The presence of enough soft material in the space to prevent the room from sounding like what it structurally is: a hard-surfaced box in which every sound that enters bounces between parallel walls before it reaches the ear. Hard-surfaced apartments, all wood floor, all plaster wall, no textiles beyond the minimum, have a specific acoustic quality that the brain processes as alert even when the visual environment is calm. The slight reverb of footsteps, the way voices carry, the presence of sounds from the street or the building that would be absorbed in a more softly furnished room. All of these keep the nervous system at a level of background readiness that prevents the deep rest that quiet spaces are supposed to provide. Introvert apartments address this instinctively. Heavy curtains that absorb sound as well as light. A large wool rug that changes the acoustic signature of the room more dramatically than any other single addition. Bookshelves lined with books, which are, physically, one of the most effective sound-diffusing surfaces available in a domestic space. The goal is a room that sounds quiet, not just a room that looks quiet, because the nervous system processes both simultaneously. The introvert kitchen is the room that most clearly expresses the difference between designing for recovery and designing for appearance. Where the social kitchen is organized for performance, for the moment when guests see it, when it functions as the backdrop for entertaining. The introvert kitchen is organized for ritual, for the specific, repeated, deeply personal sequence of actions that constitute cooking alone. This means the organization follows the logic of how the person actually cooks rather than how the kitchen might appear to someone who has never used it. The knife in the exact position where the hand reaches for it without looking. The ceramic bowl that holds the ingredients used most often, placed where it will be encountered first. The specific cup, used for the specific morning drink, always in the same place. Not because the kitchen is rigidly organized, but because the ritual of finding the same things in the same places every morning is itself a form of rest. The introvert kitchen does not perform. It participates in the daily rituals of solitary cooking that are, for someone who recharges through aloneness, among the most restorative activities the day contains. There is one design principle that introverts apply instinctively, from the very first apartment they design for themselves, that most other people arrive at only after years of getting it wrong. It is not a principle about color or material or lighting or storage. It is a principle about the relationship between the space and the person who lives in it. The principle is this: the apartment is not for showing. It is for living in, specifically, for living in by the person who is there most often, in the state they are in most often, doing the things they do most privately. Most apartment design, consciously or not, is shaped by the imagined presence of a visitor. The choice of the sofa, the arrangement of the art, the styling of the surfaces, all of these are made, at least partly, with the question of how they will appear to someone else. The introvert, who spends enough time alone in their apartment to understand that the visitor's impression is a fraction of the apartment's total existence, makes these decisions differently. For themselves, for the state they are in when no one is watching, for the Tuesday evening when the day was too much and the apartment needs to be exactly what they need it to be, with no performance required. This is not selfishness. It is the most honest and most useful approach to domestic design available, and it produces spaces that are, for everyone who enters them, more genuinely comfortable than spaces designed for the approval of the same everyone. The small apartment designed for introverts gives something back that most apartments, however well designed, do not. The specific quality of restoration that comes from a space that was built not to impress, but to replenish. Every decision in it was made with the same question: what does this person need when they have nothing left? Lower visual noise so the brain can stop processing. Shadow so the eyes can rest. One corner that asks nothing. Materials that feel safe before they look beautiful. Lighting that signals rest rather than performance. Sound absorption that makes the room feel genuinely private. A kitchen that participates in ritual rather than performing for an audience. None of this is introvert exclusive. The need to come home to a space that gives back rather than takes more is not a personality type. It is a human condition. The introverts simply acknowledged it earlier, designed for it more consistently, and arrived at apartments that everyone who walks into them recognizes, immediately, and without being able to articulate why, as the most genuinely restful spaces they have ever been in. That is what a quiet space gives back. Not silence, not emptiness. The specific, irreplaceable quality of a room that knows what you need before you do. Introvert or not, this is what a home is actually for. Subscribe for a new interior video every week. And tell me in the comments, does your apartment currently restore you? Or does it ask something of you the moment you walk in?